The Dark King.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Just Put Paint on It. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is the amazing Thursday and Friday show where we hang out with gamers and tabletop enthusiasts from all over the world, from a variety of different walks of life and different things that they do, and we sometimes hashtag Just Put Paint on It. Of course, joined with me is my wonderful co-host Tanya Gates.
Hi.
And our even more amazing guest, Jon.
Good morning, or
morning.
afternoon, or evening.
Or evening, or good night. It is 2 a.m.
Wherever you might
Time
be.
zone appropriate
Anybody
greeting.
who's watching this on the toilet is 2 a.m. on your phone.
Where is your life at if you're watching a Hang and Paint channel at 2 a.m. on the toilet?
I don't know.
We're gonna start where we're gonna continue. I apologize.
I don't know how this is, but this is your every... make sure you check out all the other videos in the series. It's been really fun, and this one is one you can just skip. I'm just kidding. It's a good... I'm just...
No, the
just
man has a point.
I'm just messing with you. It's going to be a fun time. We're doing some painting, we're doing some hobbying. I am working on Coven stuff. So I just recently... Oh, this camera is now... I didn't check this camera again after I unplugged it a million times. Excellent. It's working again. Nice. Okay, I am currently working on some grotesques. I cut off the arms of some of my grotesques and glued on some bits today, so I'm going to be working on those. They needed some love. Not that grotesques deserve love, but I want to make sure that I put some paint on it. I'm sassy today. And then, so Tanya, why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, and what are you doing?
I'm Tanya. I'm from Canada. And I make videos on the YouTubes. I'm a co-host on Forge the Narrative podcast. I do daily updates to Instagram.
Nice.
You can join my Patreon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll make sure there's a link to that in the comments, so make sure you check that out.
And I'm going to be still painting Gnoblars.
Nice. Little, tiny...
teeny tiny
cannon fodder.
Screaming horde. Yeah.
There you go. That's exactly right. And then, of course, introducing our wonderful guest all the way from Frontline Gaming Network, Jon.
Hello. How are you all?
Good. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Gosh, who even knows? My name's Jon. I've been doing content for a few years. I do product reviews with Mob Rules for the past few years. And for the past year, almost up to a year now, I've been doing what some describe as the worst quality, most out-of-place show on the Frontline Gaming Network, which is Grim After Dark, which has been a blast. And today, after those wonderful reveals yesterday, I am painting Obliterators that have sat in my pile of shame, I believe, since the box originally released.
You got the bug of the 8-pointed star, didn't you?
Man, those cultists, man, they're
so
just
cool, right?
really cool. Really leaning into the awful possession of chaos more than anything else. So I'm very excited for that.
Possessed. Those
Yes.
possessed look sick. And then you've got like these big, like morphed cultists and like weird, like looking, like spawny like cultists. I don't know. They look very chaosy.
It's like one of the designers just decided to just watch The Thing like a million times before designing the range.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
That
is one of my favorite scary movies, so I'm into it.
Right? Right? But
Yeah.
it's just like arms everywhere. Why? Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I'm gonna go and actually grab my paint water, which I left.
Jeez, you're
I left
such a
by the sink.
professional.
I'm like, I'm ready to paint. I forgot
No,
my paint
you're
water.
not.
Sad. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So Tanya, today is the Age of Sigmar preview, which I know you're going to be pretty excited about here. I don't follow that game at all, to be perfectly honest. What are you excited to hopefully see today?
Well, to be fair, I am pretty new to everything. So I don't know. Everything just looks really cool. I just started a new army, but I don't think that they're going to announce anything for that. Because I just started Night Haunt. painted my first. I painted my first one.
Oh, so spooky.
And yeah,
Mhm,
spooky
mhm.
ghosts. It would be nice if they would like announce the next battle tomes. I mean, everybody's kind of sure what they are, but
Yeah.
I would like to see some new Skaven stuff. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
It's not a faction I play, but it's a faction that I love seeing on the table. My friend who plays Skaven moved across the country, so I'm so sad.
Skaven, the little rats.
Skaven,
I
yeah.
recently played a game against rats and
How did it go?
got absolutely murdered.
Was it just too many bodies to chew through,
No.
or?
It was 9 rat ogres
Oh.
with
Oh.
lots of guns and all of the
Uh.
buffs. It was like an ultimate Death Star of Doom, and it literally just pointed at things and made those things disappear. It was
that
uncanny. It was
was that
crazy.
Lionel?
No. Played
Oh.
against Josh.
Oh.
And so it was really fun. Like I was really tired that day too, so like it was hard for me to process what was happening to me at the time. I was like, I'm getting absolutely smashed right now. And it was definitely a learning experience.
I always remember like the age-old days of Warhammer Fantasy, like young hopeful John jumping up to the table with his Bretonnians and his like cereal box cutout movement tray, and just coming up against Skaven and being like, "Oh, so there's literally 3,000 models on the table, and I have 14."
That's right. Good old launch formation, though. You better watch out.
I never played fantasy battles, but Val is really into it right now.
Oh my god,
he's so into it. So like maybe I need to find somebody to like
the
play
Warhammer
a game
Armies project
is
really well done. Like if you ever want to play like a revised version of Warhammer Fantasy that's like incorporates a lot of the FAQs and has a lot of love from the community, that Warhammer Armies project is doing a good job and like have revised the rules and kind of tackled some of the silly things from like 7th and 8th editions Warhammer Fantasy and made a game that is like a living rule set and seems like very well, I want to say, thought out.
It is. It's super thought out. I don't think it's going to last long here in a few months, but that's okay because we're coming up to the 3-year anniversary of the Old World being announced.
Which they did say was going to take like 2 years or 3 years, right? So.
2 to 3 years. So you have a bunch of nerds who are like, you guys told me an inexact timeline. I'm going to hold you to it.
And they said a very, very long time. Don't wait up. Like that's literally what the post said. So don't wait up. It's going to take some time.
We'll meet you there. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
I remember my Age of Sigmar experience. I picked up a Night Hunt army because all my friends were getting into it, and I wanted the army I could slap one color on and call it good. So that's invariably what I did. Tanya, yours look beautiful, by the way. Mine are literally ethereal blue, and that's it. But this was back in like 1st or 2nd edition Age of Sigmar, so it was very much a rock, paper, scissors feel kind of game. So I played the Night Hunt. My friend played Stormcast, and my other friend played Cardon Overlords. So it was like I would always lose to Overlords, but never lose against Stormcast. Stormcast would always lose to me, but never lose to Overlords. It was like a weird little system. But I love the changes they made. Yeah.
Yeah, 3.0, I really like the mission structure on it. I think it's really dynamic and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, my husband and I were just talking because we ordered like a bunch of stuff. And like I basically have a Custodes army that's like it's a lot of points. And I painted like 2,000 points of it to go play on tabletop, and then I put it all away. And we're like, man, are we ever gonna like go back to playing 40k? I was like, yeah. When Custodes are bad again, then I'll pick them up and I'll paint them.
Tanya, do I have good news for you?
Don't you dare say Custodes are bad now. They're not bad now.
Do I have good news for you about wanting to play Custodes right now? They are not as great as they were.
No, they're not, but they're not bad.
Yeah. They're still good.
No. Yeah.
They're I recently listened to the Star Scrub podcast. Jesse was talking about his experience playing Custodes at the Canhammer team tournament that we went to recently, and how he was very much of the mind, like before he went, that oh no, Custodes were nerfed and la 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 this and that, and after scoring the most points out of everybody on the team, he's like, well maybe they're not terrible.
Did he go with that kind of all dreadnought build that's pretty
He went
popular out
for
of the
like
nerf? Or?
still took bikes, but what he did is he just had to switch how the list played. So instead of like throwing bikes at you and then following up with dreads, he just switched it. It was throw the dreads up and then follow up with bikes. You know, and the list just did just as good as it ever did. So that was kind of like what he went for. But hello everybody in chat. Xanthiades, Nameless JT, Psycho Squirrel says, Puppy! Puppy! That is
He
Lucas
took
the
off.
Trickster.
Lucas the
Lucas
Trickster,
the
yeah.
Trickster, the pup.
Naming him that was so stupid of me.
Because he's a little trickster now.
Yes.
You manifest destiny, that stuff.
Yeah. He's like, oh, the Trickster, you say. Well,
Let me
do
live up
this.
to it.
Yeah.
I have, not in my little recording area, but I have a little basset hound. He's about 9 years old now, but he's called Lando because
Calrissian.
although he appears to be a good guy, he's actually a rogue who is just we'll try and get away with anything. I found him on my kitchen counters once. That was fun.
Look at his stumpy little legs. How'd he get up there?
Yeah, like he Mission Impossible styled it. He just went up onto a chair, onto a table, onto the counter. And then he got down again. But like when you look around your white countertops and all you see is kind of like muddy, giant paw prints. Yeah.
Like bud, you were not. You're like, I find that suspicious, puppy.
It took all of my detective work to figure out what happened with that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Lucas the Trickster is 6 months old in 2 days, and he's giant. So every other puppy in this litter is on the track to be 45 pounds. Oh. And he's probably over 50 pounds now, and he's only halfway there. So, yeah, I'm going to have a giant dog.
Well, it could be worse. My sister-in-law, they have 2 English Mastiffs.
But she knew what she's getting into.
Hopefully, they're on track to be like 200 pounds each. They are giant dogs.
I had a black lab growing up. That was like the extent of how big my dog was. I love Labrador retrievers.
They're so silly. Like, they're just like dumb guys. I love them. Yeah. But one of my dog's like best friends is an English Mastiff. And they're so cute when they like play fight. It's so funny. He's
the
got
dumbest
like this
dogs you'll ever see.
Yeah, so he's got like this giant friend, and then he's got this like teeny tiny little like Boston Terrier thing that's his other best friend. Yeah. It was her birthday yesterday, so they found each other at the park, and they do this thing where they like see each other from like a kilometer away, and then they just stop, and then they gotta like run, you know?
Like the best romantic comedy from the 90s.
There was a lot of romantic comedies.
Oh man, your chat is sassy. I love it here. What's this here? With all these West Coasters, Seattle Open. Skari, are you going down to the Seattle Open this year?
Not to Seattle. I think I'm going to be going to the Chicago one later in the year, more than likely.
I have a story about the Seattle Open.
I was gonna say, is it before you go in your story there, Tanya? Is it because of your famous hatred of the Pacific Northwest? That you're
born in the Pacific Northwest.
I did not know that was like something that I should be privy to, like how much I hate the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, dude, I just made it up right now. It's great content.
You can't just like tell me this right. Like that's something that needs to brew for many years.
That's fair.
Yeah, it has
to.
Sorry,
Tanya, you were saying.
Nurtured.
So, I was originally... So, for me, it's hard to travel because my husband doesn't travel, and all of my friends are associated with podcasts or, you know, coaching services or as something like that. So like they all have places to stay when they go to these things, and I don't, right? And like I'm the third wheel, so I don't get like invited along. Which fine, fair. I'm a pleb, I get it. And so it's hard for me to travel to these things. But first, Adam Camilleri was like, "Well, I'm going. You could come stay with me, and it'll be fun." And I was like, "Yeah, man, sick. That'd be awesome. Podcast bros forever." And then he had to go back to Australia, and I was like, oh, "Okay, well, there goes that plan." And then like, I was originally going to drive down with Alex McDougall, but then like as soon as I found out I wasn't going, I sent a message. I was like, "Sorry, can't go. I don't have anybody to stay with." And then like a week ago, Alex is like, "So, planning for Seattle?" And I was like, "I told you, I can't go. I don't have anybody to stay with." And he's like, "Oh, well, you could just stay with me." And I'm like, "I don't have time now to like find a dog sitter and like do all this stuff because my husband still has to work and he can't take time off because it's like a week away." And yeah, so I probably could have went if, you know, stuff panned out.
It's funny how that
But
works.
it didn't. It always is like this for me. I don't know. I think I'm just not supposed to go to things. Is this where I type
Well,
in
with
promo
that
code Falcon?
attitude,
Man.
Not working, you?
Yeah,
says
yeah.
Alexander. What's up, everybody? Hey, Keith, what's going on?
Not with that attitude, says the man who has friends everywhere and can always stay with the Art of War team, if nothing else.
You know, I just
Yeah,
have webway gates placed everywhere.
Yeah.
Been a long time
yeah.
coming from living in the dark
I don't
city.
actually like have friends, so yeah. And I'm not independently wealthy, so I can't just go and like buy fancy hotel rooms for myself.
I'll say having a stockpile of raid spoils, you know, allows to you know, bribe or blackmail people into letting me stay places.
Bribe or blackmail.
That's
yeah.
right. That's how we do it in the dark city. We just make shit happen.
Let me stay with you, or else I will blackmail you.
That's right. And then,
Wait, but then they're gonna find dirt on you to blackmail you next
no,
time
because
because
they
you're
just
staying
disappear.
with them.
Disappear. I
So
make
they
them
pay the bill and then they
then
disappear.
they disappear. Exactly.
Okay, I
And
see.
then Vect is pleased.
Genius.
That's right. That's how that works. I've you know, traveling to events and stuff. I think the biggest thing is because COVID was like shut everything down. You know, I've really been wanting to go to a lot of events for many years, but all of a sudden, like if everything opens up, I can't go to everything all in one go, even though I'd like to. And because of the WTC, you know, it's in Belgium this year. So that's like my biggest priority is making sure that I can go to the WTC. So right now,
Your passport ready to go?
Well, I have my passport ready. I'm waiting for my travel documentation from like Canada, because I luckily found out that my driver's license and health card had expired. When I went to get when I went to the bank to like open an RSP or whatever, and it was like, by the way, your driver's license has been expired for 3 months, and I was like, whoops!
Oh.
I've been driving back and forth to mini
You
wargaming
delinquent.
with an expired driver's license that I had literally not noticed because nobody went anywhere for 2 years. So literally did not notice until this person was like, I can't actually put this into the system. I was like, oh, well then. So I had to go fix that. Anyway, so that's my priority. I want to go to England for like a week before, and I'm gonna try like do some content with like tabletop tactics and Winters and the Drop Zone team and like Hellstorm, Wargaming, and Vanguard Tactics. Like I want to do like a big little like week-long tour where I'm like bouncing back and forth. So if you'd like to see more of that stuff, just let me know like what you'd like to see while I'm there, or if you want to meet up.
Oh, I thought that was totally gonna be like a Patreon push.
Well,
It's gonna be
Patreon,
like
it only gets done thanks to the Patreons. So, that's just like, thank
You
you very
missed
much.
it.
If you
You
want
missed that
to.
opportunity.
Did I? Dang it.
Yeah.
you just need to add a $5,000 tier
There's
called
a
a super duper
$500 tier
supporter.
for a Dracon, which I'll literally paint a model and name them after you, and we play them in games. And, like, you get to, like, follow Archon Skari around on his real space raid adventures. Has anybody jumped on that yet? Nope. That's it. It's there.
But it's still the opportunity is
That's
there. That's the
right.
important thing. What I want to see from your tour, is I want to see like an 80s style metal tour shirt with all of the places on the back of the shirt. So like your logo on the front and like, Skari World Tour, and just have only dates in England.
I am.
The world tour.
I am actually planning a world tour. I will have you know. But yeah, that'd be fun. I like the irony of just having it in one place. That's hilarious. Kind of like baseball.
No,
world,
but then you have to have to have like one place that's not in England for it to be the world tour.
Right.
So it's just like
Well,
pick
Belgium.
the smallest town
be
in
like
Ontario.
Just be like a little Belgium town or something. Where the WTC is going to be. That's the
Like technically
culmination of the
correct.
tour. Yeah. Technically,
It's more than one country, so it's the world tour.
I'm still planning on doing my actual world tour, though. It'd be once my son's out of high school, though. So in about 6 years now? 7 years?
Ugh,
That'll be
Man.
fun.
time flies.
I know. It's 2 years ago. It was going to be 10 years ago. Now it's only 7 years ago. What is this madness? It's
What?
kinda
That's
crazy.
math. What?
I know.
Math.
I don't know how to math. It's all good.
I will say I have a 17-year-old. I have a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was good. I was almost out. And now I have a 3-year-old, which is wonderful in its own ways because you've learned so many lessons. You will repeat the same mistakes again, but you think you won't. But yeah, I was very close to my own world tour, Skari. And then, no.
I have a dog.
It's an adorable dog.
Yeah, I know.
You could take the dog with you on a world tour.
Oh man, he'd be so into it.
Yeah. Travel the world
Yeah.
with the pup. Talk about getting
Yeah.
in places for free. That'd be like, I just need a place to stay because of the little puppy. And they'd be like, oh, yes, absolutely. Puppy gets to stay for free. And you
Yeah,
Well, I have
you
to
do
wait
not.
till he's not an asshole anymore, though.
Oh, so never.
With a name like Lucas the Trickster.
I know. I'm so dumb.
Mhm. I don't remember which company sent me these 3D prints of these like standing grotesque models. I have to find them on Instagram again. Give them a tag when I put them up because they've been sitting on my to-do shelf for a very, very long time, and I'm finally getting them done. I'm really, really excited because they are really cool.
Have you sourced your million racks yet?
Yeah, they arrived yesterday.
Oh, are you so excited?
120 racks. Yes, I'm
Oof.
very. I know, John. I have no soul. It was
Be the change you want to see in the world. I love
no.
it.
No change. just pain and suffering.
Just sweaty, petulant whack playing all the time.
So I played a couple of games, like, just thinking about the fact that I'm probably going to be running like 120 to 150 racks. And I was like, I'm like terrified because I feel like I'm going to like it. Oh, gross. I'm like just terrified because I know it's going to be soul sucking, and my opponents and myself, I feel like my opponents are just going to like roll their eyes when they have to play like 120 racks or something silly, and then I'm just going to be like, I'm going to enjoy it so much, and I'm going to hate myself for enjoying it so much.
It's very on brand for the army, though. So, you got that going for you.
Yeah.
Keith says that you're a petulant rack player.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I see what you did.
Oh, I'm going to steal that and make Jesse call me a petulant rack player on the podcast. It's going to be fantastic. That is a great name. So, John, how long have you been playing tabletop games?
Oh my gosh. So I probably started about 25 years ago, young 13-year-old me at the local GW store. Back in the day when like it wasn't the single man operations and it was just kind of like your high street window, just walking on by and seeing the little revolving glass display case with all the red shirts in the window. And there was a model of an Egram Van Horstum, which is an old Chaos Fantasy character and a double-headed dragon. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Of course, you go in, and then the staff, it's like, your first hit is free. Oh, look, paint the Space Marine. It's so cool. It's 3 parts. And then after that, I just kind of went off to the races. So a long time. For a long time, just the skirmish games. But then eventually kind of falling into 40K and all that madness there. I took a break for a little bit, as I think everyone does when they start young, is they kind of in their late teens, early 20s kind of step away for a little bit. But yeah, then I came back. I had a friend up here who was really into it. And I'm like, oh, I used to play that game. And then, off to the races we go. And here I am like 7 years later.
Back to it. Love it. I don't know if it makes me weird, but I never took a break from the game.
Yeah, it
I
does.
don't think it makes you weird. It's just like everyone I seem to talk to is like, well, you take a break and things. There's something like there's almost like a GW shame if you started like back in the 90s, right? Whereas now it's like a lot more cool and acceptable. Well, more acceptable.
I can definitely see that. Hey, Nameless JT, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Dog treat and/or teenager treat fund. Nice. They are like children. So you have to feed them. It's super fun. Teenagers, that is. And, they're...
Oh my
they're
god,
like,
they eat so much.
Yeah, they do. Humans eat so much. You guys, especially
No,
when they're growing.
but teenagers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that. Oh, look at this. It's going to look so cool. I'm going to have 11 grotesques after this.
That's a nice round number.
Yeah. Well, I need one more now so I can run 2 units of 6 or whatever. But if I'm going to go that, I might as well 4 more and then run like 3 squads of 5. Ugh, I feel a conversion spree coming on. Be exciting. Did you always play like Chaos? Is that like your main faction?
It is now. So when I started, obviously I started with the old second edition set. So with the Space Marines was the way to go. I tried to do orcs, but obviously I couldn't afford an orc army even back in kind of like the Hero Hammer days. And so I started with Space Marines. I went with Dark Angels, the Young Angels of Death Codex, which was super fun.
Yeah.
But then when I came back, I was like, I'm going to start an orc army. I'm a grown up now. I can afford it. I can go for it. But this was back in like 6th edition. My buddy was playing Tau. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. I'll show you how to play the new game. I'll show you how 6th edition works. And let me tell you, Tau versus orcs at 6th edition did not match up super well.
So the Tau went pew pew, and the orcs went, I'm going to just remove models now.
I think my favorite part of it, though, was during the game was the old ramshackle rule. So, like, all of my stuff was in trucks because that's kind of how I imagined it. I was a huge Gorka Morka fan.
Right.
Like, if they released Gorka Morka tomorrow, I would buy every single model that it could possibly be. It's such a turning point for that entire line. But like, the ramshackle rule meant I was in his front lines turn 1 because I would just roll really well in the scatter dice.
Nice.
And end up like really right up at the front. But yeah, I love that. And after that, when I was like, well, I need an army that can somewhat compete with what's out there, I started playing Chaos. But that was more of a meme thing, to be honest with you. I was trying to figure out what to take to LVO a few years ago. And I decided to just take Oops All Demon Engines, which
Whoopsies.
Which it might surprise you, it was not a good list 2 or 3 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. Just a lot of big boys jumping around the table, punching things.
Now, would you say you play more for fun and entertainment value?
I would. Like, I don't have the capacity to follow and keep up. And it's just, I get really hard on myself. Like, man, I went 2-1 at RTC. Oh, no. So, like, I've tried to kind of focus on what's going to be fun. Because I could just, go and grab the latest net list and kind of play it really badly and lose, or I can try and innovate, right? And then kind of come up with the things that are fun, things that people won't necessarily see. Like even just seeing the pictures of those new carnivore war dogs, I was like, I instantly want to run as many of them as possible. Because I want to put on a cool thematic looking army on the table and hopefully roll face. But if I don't, then that's okay.
Oh, makes total sense. Yeah, I like that. I like that philosophy. It's funny how you don't really. Well, for example, I'm plugged into the quote unquote competitive aspect of the game, like 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So and even I find it hard to keep up with it.
Right.
And I do it full time.
Yeah. How do you find the release schedule right now? Because we both have the benefits of getting to kind of review stuff and kind of see what's coming down the pipeline. And then kind of in a first world problem kind of thing, sometimes that's like a ridiculous amount of stuff coming out. Is if we have a hard time keeping up with it, right?
Yep.
I mean, how does the community go about it?
Yeah, even being someone who gets is lucky enough to get the review copies of stuff and go over things, even I don't even have time to review everything. You know what I mean? With the fact that I have a family and I'm trying to do 3 different content creation jobs at the same time, and it's I kind of have to be even selective with the amount of stuff that I do, or I would literally have no life. And and I found it very apparent yesterday. I went and I played a game against a good friend of mine, Cody, and he's been busy kind of building a terrain company, a 3D printing terrain company.
Oh, nice.
From scratch, right? With some really good tournament terrain, right? And so we just hung out at his place and played a game last night. And he hasn't played in a really long time. And it's funny how just being away from the game for 2 months can totally leave you in the dark with just how quickly the game is moving forward, And it was very apparent to me, noticing him being oh, that wasn't a thing, when I played 8 weeks ago, and now it's changed. So I'm like, well, yeah, that's. If you're in the know, but since you're not, you wouldn't.
I think, I mean, and Tanya, you can jump in this too, but I think we're at an interesting kind of crux, right? Where we've gone from the days of getting 1 codex every 4 months, say, and kind of updates, if we're lucky, in a chapter approved, to having an update once every 3 months for wholesale rules changes, to FAQs really quick, to things not being broken right away. And there's is there a happy medium in between that?
I would hope so. But right now there is no happy medium. Can they ever reach a happy medium? Maybe. In terms of release schedule. But I feel it's like a freaking living thing. It just grows and multiplies like a bacteria.
I can't keep up, so I just gave up.
I mean, and that's the danger, right?
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I'm not blessed with an amazing quick brain that can just read a rule, understand it, I got it. I have to put a lot of time and effort into decoding what the rules actually mean. And then I have to study so that I remember it. And it just takes a lot of work. And I just found I was just studying so much that I wasn't actually playing the game. So I was I don't want to do this anymore. And the release schedule feels okay for AOS. I mean, it's probably still a lot, but after 40K, it feels very relaxed. So yeah, everything about AOS feels relaxed after trying to actually learn how to play 40K and get good at it and failing miserably.
Yeah.
AOS is a nice chill reset for me right now.
Clint
Plus
says,
the models look amazing.
Clint in the chat says, yeah, the models look amazing. Who's this young guy? Why is he unfunny?
Clint, you know why. I'll leave it at that. It's
If you don't know, I'm not telling you.
I'm the kind of guy who's failed upwards for about 5 years now. It's insane. And you guys know yourself sort of as being content creators and thing. I remember putting out our first podcast years and years ago. And after a week and a half being 12 people downloaded this. Oh my god, that's crazy, right? Because you're like, who would be like, yeah, and of course, wonderful viewing audience right now, but who would be silly enough to kind of watch you do things? It's such a unique thing, right?
It's so, as somebody who just recently jumped into Patreon to help supplement how expensive it is to go to events and to get models and stuff, I was just absolutely shocked that people wanted to like help me make content. It's just so bizarre to think that there's strangers out there who like dig what you do. Like, it's like a lot to take in,
Like,
It's
I
humbling.
know. Sorry.
No, it's always it's humbling, I feel.
Oh, for sure. And I think the best content creators are the ones who are humble. Like, those are the ones that kind of stick around or kind of don't get the hatred and community things, or those who realize the ridiculousness of it all. It's when they start getting too kind of like self-serious or kind of things like that gets, yeah. And that's why like my favorite parts of Grim right now is like I literally search through like YouTube comments, like podcast reviews to find like the most negative things I can find. And like that's what I want to put up. That's what I want to talk about. Because I want to be like, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, like if I wasn't doing this, I would probably be you putting this out here.
My favorite comment that I ever got, it was actually not even on my content. I had left a comment on somebody else's content, and somebody felt the need to like respond to me. And they're like, "You only do this for the money," and I just
Yes, because we're all
Right?
getting very rich. It's really funny. There's this one person that keeps on commenting on every video I do with like mini wargaming that says downvoted for Skari, and that's literally the only thing they comment every time. It's really funny.
they're your biggest fan.
They are. So
Honestly,
I've decided I'm making a T-shirt that says.
I was gonna
downvoted
say
for
I would
Skari.
buy that T-shirt.
Right?
Oh man.
downvote
That'd
for
be
Skari. But here's what like people don't realize: that downvote and your comment
Yeah.
are like feeding the
Engagement.
algorithm and
Yeah.
making that a more like successful video.
Yeah. Which is fine.
That's why I
Isn't-
say like the haters are my biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. And honestly, like, I don't get that. I mean, we've been through like an awful couple of years. Like, imagine being that, like, I'm going to be happy by making fun of these people or saying, oh man, your like camera was slightly blurry when you were doing this. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm in my mid 30s in a closet painting a model. Yeah, of course it's not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's insane.
I actually have a hater, and I know who this hater is, and every time I upload anything to YouTube, it immediately gets a downvote.
Yeah,
and
you've
I'm
made,
like,
you know you've made it
there
when
we are again.
you know you've made it on YouTube when there's the one downvote on every video you make. 'Cause
Right?
one
You're
person
like,
has made it their
"Oh, I
life
see
mission
you."
just to
To
put the
hate you.
first downvote on. Like, oh man, that is literally like a rite of passage for YouTube. I swear, that is a thing.
I just have this great image of that guy or gal sitting at home. I've seen my YouTube analytics. I know it's a guy sitting at home. But like just sitting at home, hits that dislike button, and then he's like, yep, job done for today.
Yeah, like smug. Good job, me.
Oh man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carrie K, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Do you see some updates for Necrons? Our AOC really hurt them, I believe. Army of Contempt really hurt. Yeah, Necrons suffer from being one of the best balanced books in the game.
It's a really good book.
It is it's got lots of cool options. It's like the balance is okay. There's different styles of builds you can build, but because it's so average, it's like terrible. If that makes sense.
Do you think it's just suffering from like early edition sort of stuff?
Yeah,
or,
there's
like...
a lot. Like there's two curses for playing Warhammer 40,000. It's if you get the last book of an edition, and if you get like the first book of an edition. Usually, that tends to be like bad. You know, just in general. I think the only like in early 8th edition, this is early 8th edition. We had the Astrum of the Tarim book was brand new, and Astrum of the Tarim were busted. Like, they were one of the exceptions where it was like a new edition, then the Astrum of the Tarim book came out, and they just crushed everything in their path with like a million unrunnable, awayable cultist like conscripts and stuff. And they still have the same book that was back then, but it's been a long time, like early 8th, and now it's like, you know, a mature 9th. You know what I mean? So.
He's a mature 9th. I love that term. That's great. Stolen.
Technically, there's no 8th edition or 9th edition. It's just like the now 40k. There's no technical editions anymore, but whatever. There's still
it's
editions
a living
to
rule.
me. Yeah, there's still editions to me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I just want to play my tanks.
Yep. Yes, you do. Because they would be amazing. I can't wait for them to redo a whole bunch of this stuff, you know, like old Astrum of the Tarim things and whatever. It's so cool.
I think when Militarum come out, they are going to be real good.
I think they're going to be too good, and I'm still not going to play them.
Well, okay, here's what's going to happen, is they're going to be really good for about a month and a half until the new edition comes out, and then they'll be not great because of that.
Yep.
Keith says, LOL, all those dollar bills, y'all. Downvote for Skari. Thanks for the engagement, all in caps.
I've done that before. Thanks for the engagement.
My go-to comment now. I love replying to them just to like poke the bear, but I always reply comment by Skari, or reply by Skari.
I like when people make comments about my body on battle reports and stuff, and I just totally call them out on it in the sweetest somebody was like, "Is she pregnant?" on my last one, and I was just like, "No, I'm just fat." I know where my strengths and weaknesses are, and yeah, my poor disabled body is definitely not a strength. But
it's
it has
bizarre, though.
It has no bearing on how I actually roll dice. So
yep.
Do you think that say a Brad Chester battle report, say versus JT, gets all those kind of comments? It's bizarre to me, right? To be like, yeah, it doesn't affect your ability to roll dice. Man, I would, yeah. People just make fun of my hairline, which is why early morning me is wearing a hat, because I can get away with it on the streams. I don't actually have a style guide. The first piece of feedback I actually got for Grim. One, I was surprised Reese watched the show the first week, but he was like, "Oh, he's wearing a hoodie, huh?" So it was going to no hoodies. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go away from there. But it was
I love
great.
hoodies.
Oh,
That's my signature move right there.
Yeah, they're so comfy.
Why no hoodies?
Well, it's professional, of course.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah.
It's war dollies. What is professional?
No, it's a professional. It's a podcast network. It's a legit. I could see where that comes from for sure.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I follow it mostly.
Hey, I've been asked not to come on podcasts because I paint on the podcast. Paul Murphy. I love you, buddy.
You gotta take time where you can, right?
Yeah, no. I've learned to have better mute control so that when I'm swishing my brush around when I'm talking on a podcast, it doesn't show up on the podcast. You can't hear me swishing my brush around in the water.
I just pay attention to what people are saying on the podcast, and
there you go.
There you go.
There has been an explosion of content over the COVID times with 3 podcasts appearing for everyone that disappears.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of any new really good ones that have come out that have kind of stuck around? Because all the ones I seem to find are just Games Workshop is terrible and I hate everything and I don't want to listen to that for 2 hours.
I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. And I will admit, I listen to very few podcasts now. I think they own the one podcast I would say that I listen to religiously whenever it releases, like as soon as it releases, is the Stutter Scrub podcast. They are hilarious, and it's because they're local to me. They're really funny and knowledgeable, and their podcast isn't like a million hours, and it's not a bunch of people complaining. It's like concise, to the point. It's topical, but it's not like negative. And you know, and then I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of content because it's just like I feel like it's an overload in a lot of ways personally, because there's so much stuff. It's just so much stuff.
So I do listen to podcasts, but it's just a few. So I like Party at the All Points, which is an Age of Sigmar podcast that's hilarious. If you are looking for a podcast that sort of balances like competitive and hobby and community and stuff like that, highly recommend. And then like I kind of been trying new podcasts and stuff. So one that I'm listening to right now is on YouTube, the YouTubes, called 2+ Tough, and it's like Age of Sigmar lore. Because I ain't got time to get caught up by actually reading it, so I gotta listen to it while I paint. Because I don't know fuck all about Age of Sigmar lore. So yeah, that's another one that I listen
Why
to.
get
But I've
invested
been.
if they're just gonna blow up the universe again sometime?
That's okay.
Keep buying or they'll blow it up. Keep buying.
I
Just
mean,
consume.
I play guard, so I'm used to things blowing up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, poor Cadia. But then I sort of like try other podcasts, and it's like you said, like there's a million podcasts, and I feel like people either don't get to the point or they like ramble on about stuff that I just don't like. I like to hear what people are doing in their hobby, but I don't need like an hour of listening to your hobby projects. Listening to it, I'd rather like see it. That's like a visual thing. I don't think it like translates really well into like a podcast kind of format. So as soon as a podcast starts with that, and I know people are trying to emulate like independent characters because it was so popular for so long, but as soon as people start talking for an hour about their hobby projects, I'm like, no, I need something else. So
now, John, I have a question. As a content creator, I find personally that I don't really have a lot of time to consume content because I'm either making content or I'm like helping make content, if that makes sense. So where do you stand with that at all? Like, do you find like you are a big consumer of content as much as you create it? And how did the podcast come along? Like, how was that like? How did the brainchild come to be?
Yeah, so less so nowadays. So like last year I made the very sudden decision to not wage slave as much, and I went back to school. So currently I'm like full-time in college, working pretty much full-time at like a less stressful job, like family, kids, like shows and everything. So like my time has been like very like reduced, and much like Tanya was saying, like I would turn on a podcast. And after 15 minutes, I hear two guys like agreeing about how great one model is or what they've been up to. And like, I don't want to hear. Like I don't have like a 3-hour block to kind of sit down. So that's why I'm like very specific with the shows I watch. And then what happens invariably is the new show that I find and I like, they do it for a couple of months. And you guys know the grind of consistent content schedule is a killer. I mean, that's what kills most shows. Is like, yeah, you might be able to talk about Warhammer now, and you love Warhammer. Can you talk for an hour about Warhammer when you have zero interest in talking about Warhammer? Like that's the hard part there. The original Mob Rules came about because there wasn't a lot of podcasts. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. Me and my friend Ted wanted to kind of get into it. So we started doing that there. And much to what Tanya said, the early episodes were just a ripoff of the independent characters, right? All broken down into nice little sections, hobby progress, games played, main topic. And yeah, we thought, yeah, this is great, we're doing it. But then we kind of switched, like Ted's life changed, so he moved on to doing other things. And I kind of came in with Dave at the time and Danny. And then we just got a lot like loose with it. And I always view podcasts as sort of like the lonely kid who was like playing Warhammer at the Games Workshop store every Wednesday night and 40K every Thursday night for 4 hours. As when I'm sitting and painting, and this is why like streams like this are great. I was like, I want to listen to a conversation or be part of like sort of a group. So the way we always viewed sort of the Mob Rules one, especially, was like we have like the empty chair at the end because like our listeners, we're having just like a roundabout conversation. Yeah. That they can be included in too. And that's where we kind of had that from. And then for Grim, like I said about failing upwards, is we had Val. Val guested on one of our Mob Rule shows. And he was just like, before I let you know you do your preamble, so I was like, why aren't you guys more popular? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, keep an ear out. Would you be open to doing something? Maybe. And then, of course, he gets announced as creative director. Like, radio silence for 4 months at this point. So Danny and I are just like, sure, whatever. We'll go from there. And then we see that it's announced that, he's being made the creative director, which is a title I love to call him. And then, it kind of went from there. And Grim kind of grew out of this place of like, what can Danny and I do for the network? And for me, that's the most important thing is what can we do that's unique? Right. And you said it yourself, there's a million podcasts. A lot of them are the same. Like, how can you carve your own niche and be something that no one else is really doing? So we stole a late night format and just made it Space Ghost. And over time,
it's great. Like I love it. I had so much fun being on the show. That was great fun.
Yeah, and then we'll have to have you back on, Tanya. I know you're coming back on here soon. We sort of the past couple of weeks changed the format up, and it was because again, trying to get something new, something interesting. There's a lot of interview shows out there. Steve Joel on the network we're on does a job a million times better than I think anyone could. So we brought the guest on right away, and then I just share memes like it's a PowerPoint slideshow of our shows. The just is when we talk about them and we use those pictures to inform our questions and discussions, and it's a lot of fun. And the nice thing is I can bring anyone on with that sense, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bring like a TO on, say like a local TO, come talk to us. Yeah, we have a good time. And then if they're not feeling the question or they're kind of like, I can throw to Danny more, or like I can kind of manage it that way. And just we have the same solid hour of content a week, which I think is the perfect length for a lot of this audio. And again, my disregard for the audio only listeners is just increased every week. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think in the 13th of June, so like in just a month, we'll have been doing this for like a year every week, which is insane to me. But it's a lot of fun. I love it. I don't see it changing anytime soon. As long as Val keeps on hosting us, we'll be there doing that.
That's amazing. I just want to say, Steve Joel taught me everything I know.
Oh,
I mean, I say that because I didn't look anywhere for like any other information, but like I don't think that I would really be doing anything if it wasn't for Steve Joel. Like, I think Steve Joel and Skari are like the two people who gave me like the best advice for content creation. And yeah, Steve Joel and I used to do a daily podcast together.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Don't do that.
Like, I don't think people quite realize how influential Steve Joel is on the 40K content creation community. Mm-hmm. Like, I know he's doing stuff with the Art of War guys now. When Tom Pony jumped out, he listened to our show, then sat for an hour afterwards and talked to me about how to improve and kind of things to do. And what's crazy because he was like, you and Danny, you guys agree on a lot of stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, for sure. He's like, well, what's the point of having two of you then? And it was like, oh, that's a really good point, right? As my camera matrix is up here. But yeah, like that's a great point. Is compelling audio is not, hey man, I love the Gullum and Flash contrast. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Whereas if you have like, yeah, I love the Gullum and Flash contrast, and like, yeah, but I'm more of a Caden Flash tone, and then maybe a wash and things above that. Kind of like getting that discussion and going there, and it's just, yeah, I like. He does this great thing, and it's like, it's very old school. The 40K Game Changers, like the way it's produced, it makes me think like some like Newsnight half-hour special into something, but it's like so well done, and that guy is just like got such a great brain for literally everything. He can't. His influence on everything cannot be underestimated.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he wanted like he had this interview show, and I was coming off of 40K today doing interviews, and I was like, I want to do my own thing, but I don't want to do just interviews. So that's why I started looking at it more like as a conversation, right? Like I want to pick a topic and we're going to talk about that topic. And yeah, I think it's like a format that's working for me. So I'm excited to like pick it up again and make regular content. But people have been like telling me, they're like, we want it in a podcast. We want to listen to it on Spotify. So I gotta like rip this crappy audio and like figure out how to make it into a podcast. And I'm just like, okay.
So quick pivot here with the content creation stuff. Well, first of all, I want to go through a couple of the comments here.
Okay.
Who cares what people think about you guys? Life is too short to worry about their BS as Paul.
It's true.
I agree.
True. I'm going to say I don't worry about it, to the fact I merely promote it heavily on our show.
You know what that is? Keith says, I bet keyboard warriors at home are 100% in better condition.
Yes, 100%.
Skari, you better say you listen to Forge the Narrative too, LOL. I do not. I don't have time for it. I literally don't have time to listen to podcasts. I don't have time. 2+ tough is great.
I don't listen to it either, to be honest.
Keith Davis says, lol, that's true. Nameless says, the pandemic and Instagram brought me to the War Mistress. Evil Space Elves brought me to Skari. Hating myself trying to be competitive brought me to Jon. I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
I feel that should be the opposite, where like wanting to be competitive should take you to Skari. Because if you want to be competitive, you should not listen to a word that comes out of my mouth. Brother, 3 years ago at LVO, I took 3 units of mutilators.
Amazing.
They were amazing.
Those memes keep you alive. That's how that works. I, for one, enjoy trying to picture the memes that you post, Jon, on my audio-only car rides. Sounds like you have a whole drinking game built for that, I guess. Sounds exciting.
One of my favorite things is Danny has like a huge knowledge of Seinfeld. And for a couple of weeks, I was finding like Seinfeld-related 40K memes.
They were all the same meme, basically.
They're all the same meme, basically, right? But it's all the thing. And I've never watched Seinfeld up until like last week when I watched the first couple of episodes. But it was all like, was it Kenny Roasters, like Kenny Rogers Roasters or something like that meme there. And then I was like, I was very specific because the feedback we got of like, guys, you need to think about the audio people, right? You're doing all of this stuff and all of this visual things. I'm like, okay. So it's like, Danny, in excruciating detail, please describe what you're seeing. And God bless him, he spent like 5 minutes describing this 3-panel meme from an episode of Seinfeld.
Amazing.
One of my favorite bits.
It's actually my favorite bit.
Well, keep on.
Every week it's the same meme that you're making him describe.
Oh dear. Okay, so let's talk a little about hot take culture.
Sure.
Right? Because as
it's my least favorite thing.
Tanya's reaction. Yeah, okay. Because as an old school content creator, like I would say, I was on YouTube before YouTube was cool, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like hipster.
Yeah, I was on YouTube before YouTube was cool, and then I don't know, the advent of like a new generation of like everyone wants to do it now sort of thing, and not that that's a bad thing, But it's like, I feel like a lot of these new age channels with like, I don't know, a younger like player, like a younger audience slash younger, more enthusiastic, like presenting staff, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know, they seem to like try and compete to see who has the fastest like reaction time to put out some
Right.
sort of crazy like reaction video to the nextest newest thing. And I feel like if I did that, I would literally just go crazy. Because I'd be chasing this freaking like content dragon instead of like feeling like I'm doing it because I just want to do content and not just
Right.
for the like views or the interaction, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like a weird feeling because I feel like when I do a video, like I know I haven't done a lot of like my traditional videos of like, you know, how to do the movement phase or like just little things that I used to do before.
Bring those back!
Yeah, I know, I definitely should. It's just I feel so overwhelmed in a lot of ways that I'm gonna do it and then like 3 seconds later it's literally gonna be invalid. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, and then I'm gonna have to do it again, and I'm gonna have to do it again and again, and it'll be me filming the same
Can I make
freaking video every
can I make a
time. Anyway,
can I
yes.
can I make a suggestion? Instead of like making in-depth rules videos, why don't you make like concepts that you can use across different gaming systems?
Well, that'd
Right?
be more of an evergreen system. It's just
Right? Because there's certain things about wargaming that like somebody who's never played would not know. Like I even found out because somebody was like on my last battle report with Play On, somebody was like, "Why don't people use the teleporter with big units?" And then I commented because most players will screen that out. And this is a new player and they're like, "What does that mean? Screen it out." Right? And that's a concept that doesn't have anything to do with rules.
right.
It's something that you could do a video on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
I think what I'm like, it's a blessing and a curse that I feel like I've played this game for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I do feel, in a way, a little bit detached from like newer players, if that makes sense.
Oh man, you know
In
what
the
would be
sense of,
really
like-
good for you? If you had a best friend who was kind of newer
Well,
to wargaming,
you just
who
gave
could
me a
maybe
great
act
idea.
as that
You could
bridge
just give
for
me
you.
all these ideas, and that would be great. And then maybe you could be like, you know, I know we could do like an infomercial style where you try and open the carton of milk, and I'll be like,
Oh yeah, I could
do
be the
I have a
idiot.
solution for you?
I will say the best video I've seen recently was Honest Wargamer Rob slap
Yes,
chop
the
video.
slap chop.
Mhm.
So
That
good.
was
so
like
sassy.
I know there was a lot of sarcasm behind the presentation of that. But and then also like him and Falcon were talking about it on their Jason show. About how you have to tailor your content as if to a classroom of small children. And that's kind of but it works, right? And it comes across, and that's how you have sort of that evergreen content. But I mean, I get what you're saying about like the newer creators, and I'm going to sound like crotchety old man here, but like again, I don't want to listen to like there was one picture of a squad, or I'm sorry, a League of Votan member was released, and almost instantly there was like 30 videos across YouTube about how GW was going to ruin squats and how this army is terrible, and I'm like, but you've seen
One
model.
picture. Yeah.
One picture of one model, and if you remember Centurions, they don't take the best pictures of their models sometimes.
100%. That's just GW. They just don't know how to take pictures. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, then you look at the model and go, this model's not half bad. That picture was terrible.
Yeah.
Made it look like a flying potato.
I think that the crotchety people are equally spread out between grognards and newbies.
Well, yes, that is true. I'm just
because there's a little bit of there's been a little bit of an influx I've noticed of like crotchety new players. I'm like, how are you crotchety? You're like 20 years old.
I think that's just a I think that's just a symptom of our times.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a quite popular new YouTuber, and like I can't watch the content because it's like so like crotchety. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess
Here's-
it's a look. It's a look.
Here's my hot take. Wes Hammer on TikTok. Fantastic content. Not
Yeah,
my
I
cup
love
of
it.
tea. Not my cup of tea.
Not
I
mine
wanna say.
either. Yeah.
But great. Other stuff like I've turned down one guest for Grim over the course of our year here, and it was
Ooh.
because like I look at what they produce, and I'm like, you're just chasing the reaction, right? And that's what it is. Like and Skari, you know, like editing videos, putting it together, you can spend 6 to 8 hours of your life putting together a 30-minute video for it to get 100 views.
Right.
Or you could spend 6 to 8 videos of your hours of your life yelling into a microphone about how awful everything is, and it gets 20,000 views.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then the Patreon and stuff that come from that. So we're coming to a place where we have a lot of content creators like, oh, this works. This might not be what I think. And it's
Yeah.
like they're almost playing a character rather than themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I can't do
agree.
that. I'm like the worst actor and also the worst liar. So I just have to be myself. And I feel like for a while I was getting like super grumpy and like complaining about stuff, and then I was like, I just need to shift. You know?
Yeah.
I
I'm
would
not
pay good money to see you do a new style YouTube rant video about stuff, and then halfway through just give up because you don't want to do it. And
This
then
is
that's the
depressing.
video.
I'm done, and that's the video.
Yep, done. Yep, can't do it.
But you know what?
well,
Tom,
if you join the sergeant tier of my Patreon, you can make requests.
I will make a
that's
rant
how
video
you
for you.
grow a Patreon. Excellent. For everybody, excellent. That's literally how you promote a Patreon. Freaking love it. I'll put the link down to Tanya's Patreon in the comments. So make sure you head on over and just sign up today.
Remember for Mob Rules, we did a Patreon and I put a level in there as a joke level. It was $97.50 level. And the joke was, if you sign up to this level, we will subcontract a third-party coaching service to help you get better at the game.
Amazing.
And I'm like, man, that's a hilarious joke. There's a reason I don't do joke tiers anymore, because someone signed up for it. And they're like, haha, I called your bluff. And I'm like, no, dude, now we have to figure out how to refund things through Patreon.
Amazing.
I was thinking about doing a joke tier that was like a foot picks tier, and then I was like, no, somebody will definitely
No,
sign
yeah,
up
you
for
are
that.
totally.
I'll say, John, though, if you ever need a subcontractor that'll give you like a discount for your Patreon tier, I'll do that. I'll do that just to make your joke tier a reality. They just call you. It'd just be $120.
It's fine. Then you have to charge $150 for the tier.
Has to be double what your tier is, just so that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Contracted tier. Ah, I love this. This is great. You know, and that's like, I find that it's just. So, like, I sit here and I do, like, the videos, and I love networking. I think that's one of my favorite things of being a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I also feel like, because I'm not, like, as edgy as a lot of content creators, I'm on the sidelines a lot of the time when it comes to, like being in the group, if that makes sense. But everybody's like, oh, yeah, I know Skari is or whatever, but, like, I'm, like, on the sideline. I'm like,
no one asks how Skari.
Anyway.
So, I mean, I think it just comes down to like knowing who your target demographic is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, is playing into like the grumpy people who want to complain all the time, like, is that something that you want to do? Like I know you want to grow, but like, still kind of have to follow your values, right?
Yeah.
You know who I make content for? And I've done this for like 4 years now.
For you.
I make content to try and make Danny laugh.
Amazing.
And that's it. And like, when I get the pop, I'm like, yeah, I got it. That's funny, man. And like, there's like, when I can really get him, like the past couple weeks, I've got him to the point where he can't breathe. Like last week, like, and I think what's important to believe is I spend a couple of hours a week doing like collating pictures and doing notes for Grim. And I post them like the night before, like, hey, notes are done. So great. I know he doesn't read them. That's okay. He's super busy too. But I use that to my advantage. So, like last week, I presented like our section on squats and Sethovision, where I don't know if you watched South Park, but like, and they had the old spooky vision where it was just Barbra Streisand's head in each corner. So I just put Seth's head in each corner and called it Seth Vision. I mean, that broke him. That was really funny.
I love it. That's the kind of thing that keeps friendships alive and long running podcasts and content.
Yeah,
which is really fun. It's like me doing dad jokes to keep Tanya around, and amazing puns. See,
do love
she
a
loves
good
it
pun
already.
Yeah. Do you guys
amazing puns?
Yep.
You mean the worst puns you've ever heard?
Is there a good pun? That's a question.
Yeah, there are some really clever ones.
I don't believe you.
Next time I hear one, I'm going to send it to you. You're like,
please do. So I can just be like, no, this is not good.
So quick life check here. This Sunday, I went to see, because 2.5 years ago, my wife had bought tickets to go see James Taylor live in Toronto. And
I don't know who that is, but continue.
Musician.
Okay.
And not a metal musician, just like a
so
guy
I
that
wouldn't
plays
know.
the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boring. Okay.
And I did not know. I had literally most of the songs that he sung on stage. I literally like repeated every single word, and I was like,
but like actually, or did you make up the words because you do that quite often?
No, actually, unless I didn't understand what he was saying when he sings a song, because I don't read the lyric notes. You know what I mean? Like I just like if it sounds like Tiny Dancer, then I know it's Tony Dancer. Okay. That's a different song that people get wrong all the time. Anyway, it was just a life note. I was like, it was really cool to like, my parents probably played a lot of this music when I was growing up, and I never really understood how much it stuck with me until I literally went to see him in concert. And it was like, every song was like in my soul. It was like, it was pretty incredible. Incredible feeling. Does that happen with podcasts?
No.
An incredible feeling? No, never.
No.
No.
But no, it's like, yeah, it's like definitely like you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I mean, and you guys know, like, you know when it's good, and you're like, yeah, this is good. I know I got it here, and it's like it's a really cool feeling, and that's kind of why I think like I stay and keep coming back, is because like you get that little dopamine of like, yeah, that was actually like a super good show, and like if you have someone where you kind of have to be like, yeah, we saved that one, we pulled it out, we did great, right? Because you want to showcase everyone, you want to give everyone a platform to look their best and to kind of share their passion. Because essentially that's what we're doing here. Like we're hanging out, we're painting little tiny plastic spaceman. You know, it's like you share your passion. We all love what we do. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
I have to say, I feel like the dynamic that we have on Forge the Narrative right now is really good. Because there are so many, like, sassy people on the cast. Like, I don't think Red likes to hear this, but Red is the sassiest member of the cast. I mean, he's also, like, the quietest one, right? He's the unassuming sassy one. But then I'm also sassy. I know, shocker. And then Paul is the only one that's not sassy. Because, like, Adam's Australian. Right?
Well, you need to have
So-
someone that's like the voice of reason. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and I guess he fits the bill. Mr. Paul Murphy definitely fits that bill.
He's like our patriarch, right? He keeps us somewhat in line. Although, man, I wish that we would do blooper episodes, because some of the shit that we end up saying is just, I don't think people would believe it if we're like, you should hear some of the shit that Paul says. They'd be like, nah, he's too clean cut. He wouldn't say that. Like,
What was so at LVO in between, just before the shadow round started, they had a stream, and they had myself, Kicker from Signals, and they had Paul Murphy from Thursday Show, and obviously Force Narrative, doing kind of like answering stream questions, kind of things like that. He gave me like the sassiest side eye like I've ever seen from someone, right? Because I'm in the center, Kicker to my left, you know, Paul to my right. And like, so one of the chat asked question, like, if you were playing an LVO, what would you bring? And of course, I'm just like there. So I'm like, hey, Paul, what would you bring to LVO? And he looked over, he was like, Blood Angels. Probably Blood Angels. And he was like, oh, or Custodian. Like, I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, Public Paul came back. But, yeah.
I feel like on stream, he's like just this consummate professional.
God, he's so good. I told him that
Yeah.
too. It was embarrassing. Like, I was like sitting there flailing, and he's just like flawlessly sitting there and doing great. It's
Yeah.
like he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, he's so amazing at it, and yeah, he's another one who's given me like great advice over the years, and I still can't believe that like I get to be on Forge the Narrative. Like that's one of the biggest podcasts for 40K out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's just crazy.
How did that come about?
Through 40K Today. I'm gonna say through 40K Today. That's probably why. So Paul was doing he was like the host for 40K Today on Fridays, and I guess like when he joined the cast, I was like, okay, help me. Help me do like interviews, help me not sound like a freaking idiot. So he like sat down and we did like a Skype thing where he like mentored me and gave me like a bunch of tips and stuff, and I was like, oh man, like why is everybody so nice? So, and then, I don't know, we just sort of like, I guess we vibed. I guess. And anyway, then when 40K Today inevitably had to stop because a daily podcast is dumb.
Insane. Why would you?
It was nuts.
Why would
Absolutely
you ever?
Nuts. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then he asked me to join the cast, and I was like, why? And he just said because he thought that I could bring something that the podcast was currently lacking. And that was somebody who was like kind of new, and kind of saw the game a little bit different than what all of the like seasoned veterans saw.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time for me to like sort of feel where I fit in, but I finally do feel it. It took like a year for me to like understand like where I sort of fit into things, and the feedback from fans and listeners has been really good to like help me sort of solidify in my brain that like, yes, I do belong on the cast, and I'm kind of like the voice of the everyman, I think, because sometimes they'll talk about stuff and I'll be like, what does that mean? Right? Or, like my experiences are just a bit different. So yeah, that's sort of how that came about.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I love stories like this. This is literally what content creation is all about. Hanging out, meeting new people, talking, chatting. Back into the chat though. Wells is like how all people freak when meta changes happen in any game these days. If it isn't broken tier, if it isn't S tier broken, people are like, don't use this trash and never play. Yeah. I think there is, like, the internet pisses me off. Okay, like
which is saying something because nothing pisses Skari off.
It's just I sat
apart
there.
From you, all of you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Like the result. Okay, there's good things, of course. There's bad things, and like good things and bad things. But I think the thing that pisses me off the most is like the negativity that gets spread online because of the fact that like say you have a player who's really excited to like play their Blood Angels or I don't know whatever, and like they go online and they're like, cool, I collected the little start collecting box, and they're really excited about playing the game, and they fucking go on YouTube and they literally video after video about how their army is terrible and shit, and how they're like they've made the stupidest decision because like their army is bad and they're never gonna win. It can be like really depressing. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I dislike that a lot.
Yeah, I will say, someone who plays a trash army, but only a trash army, and plays it a lot, will beat you in your meta army 8 times out of 10.
Yep.
And I think, Skari, that's sort of where you got yours. Are like you were playing Drukhari before Drukhari was cool. and then after Drukhari was cool, and then before Drukhari was cool.
Yep. I've been playing them for a long time, but that's also because I'm a very stubborn human being. And I enjoy being stubborn. And I find it, like, it's not a... When something is quote-unquote bad, I like proving people wrong, / I've been doing this, I've literally played this game for 20-some years, non-stop. So, some things that do come hard to some people are very natural for me on the table, if that makes sense. So it's like it's not always replicatable because of the fact that I'm like crazy.
I feel like for me that idea of like wanting to prove to people is really it's not good for me, right? It's
There's a lot of pressure on it, right? You can yeah.
Because like I'm just starting to get rid of that now because I feel like I mean, there was a lot of sexism that I had to deal with when I was first sort of dipping my toes into Warhammer, and I feel like that chip on my shoulder of wanting to prove that I belong here has just been really damaging to me over the past 10 years. So I'm getting rid of it and just sort of like letting people be sexist and say mean things in the comments and just like follow my joy, I guess. Yeah.
You have to do you, right? I think that's one of the biggest things. It's really cool to see people like you, John, just do you, right? Like, you get to... You're doing it because you love it. You do it because you enjoy it. And then if anybody wants to come along for the ride, you know what I mean? It's like, awesome. That's fantastic. I'm very happy for you. But you don't have to, like, be apologetic. And that's the same with somebody who just does it for, like, the meme clicks or whatever, you know, or like the hot takes. You know, they're well within their right to sort of like pursue that style of content if they want, you know, and that's completely okay. Even though I might like not necessarily enjoy it, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to let it discourage me because I'm going to continue to do content the way I want to do content. And speaking of content, as we come towards the end of the show, John, where can people find you? When do you do your things, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so we film live every Monday night in the Frontline Gaming Network, 10 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. real person time, which is where I am here. But yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern, live on Frontline Gaming Network on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Come check it out. We average around, I think, 55 live viewers now, which is super weird, but come interact with everyone. All the cool people are there. Tanya, you there. A lot in our chat. So when, you know, we have you on, our guest list goes down tremendously. And then, if they want to get involved, if you guys want to get involved in the show, comment. We are heavily interactive with our audience, or leave a 5-star review on the Frontline Gaming Network. Apparently threatening to kidnap Danny or having Danny return your wife. That was the last 2 reviews that FLGN got was Danny, please return my wife. Sure.
Okay.
Amazing. So I'll be putting a link. I'll be putting great way to end the come listen. That's fantastic. What time Grim is on the UK? Well, 10 p.m. Eastern is 2.
I'm gonna Google this right now.
Greenwich Mean Time, 3 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
I do know that 1 a.m. Saturday is 10 a.m. British Mean Time. So
if you extrapolate before and add the 7, it's too late for you and you should be in bed.
It's too late, but we do an edited version that goes up on the YouTube page a few days afterwards. The Twitch version is there forever, but you do have to watch like a ton of weird ads like in between as Twitch is will to do. There's plenty of ways to get involved, and just leave a comment on the video. I check the comments every week and laugh when people call me terrible. So thanks.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, John, for coming on. I'll put a link in the comments to the podcast and so your Twitter as well and stuff like that, so people can check it out.
Oh, yeah. Hey, John Q on Twitter. That's it. Hey, John Q. No H, because, I'm classy.
I'll retweet you. I'll put a little thumb up on something that you've posted.
Oh, God. So special.
Yeah, I mean... Other than that, thanks for coming on, John. This is really fun. And
Yeah,
honestly,
thanks,
the
guys.
time went by super fast today.
It really did.
Literally an hour and a half, just like pop, disappeared.
I only did like a third of one
Hey,
obliterator.
as long as you're just putting paint on it, that's all we care about over here. No H, John. I appreciate the flex, says Luis. Other than that, Tanya, my wonderful co-host and co-producer, co-runner of the Just Put Paint on It show. Where can people find you, and where is your Patreon? On Patreon?
It's my Patreon is on Patreon.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's not one of those
You-
fake Patreons like, Patreon.
It's actually an OnlyFans.
Oh, there you go. Grim
yeah,
After
feet
Dark.
pictures all day long.
Yeah.
I know
After
we're
dark.
wrapping up, but I did want to start a joke OnlyFans for the longest time for the
Do
show,
it.
but we weren't allowed to.
You weren't allowed
Do
to.
it.
The corporate goons just coming down on you, are they?
You know what? I would subscribe to see like pin-up pictures of you.
It would literally just be pictures of models.
Oh,
Like-
that's not as fun.
Naked models would just be gray plastic. Stripped models would just be kind of like paint strip models.
There you go. And then you just have to Photoshop your face onto all of them.
God, now I have to do that.
You're like your own version of like spicy miniature wargaming only.
So anyway, you can find me on Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, Forge the Narrative Podcast, YouTube. Anyway, it's just War Mistress anywhere.
There you go. That's right. And also, Forge the Narrative Podcast, which is awesome. JC says SkaredCast After Dark. It's always dark in the Dark City, baby. Other than that, well, thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. I've been Skari, your grateful host, and this is an every Thursday and Friday show. We do 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, if I remember the times correctly.
What time is that in the UK?
Too early for anybody to watch because they're all at work.
4 p.m.
I don't know. Something like that. Other than that, thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. If you'd like to support the show, support these wonderful people that we had on. Of course, if you'd like to support me personally, I do have a Patreon, and you can check me out on social media. Like, share, comment, and all the good stuff. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe. I've been Skari, your grateful host. This has been The Crew. Don't forget to hashtag Just Put Paint.
Pintello.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or Pintello. It could be, either or is fine. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.